in the heart of the ancient, sprawling, whispering woods, where emerald moss clung to gnarled oak roots, and sunbeams danced through a canopy of leaves, lived a young fox named Foxy. Foxy was not just any fox. He was a fox with a heart full of stories and a mind brimming with wild, wonderful ideas. His russet fur shone like polished copper, and his bright, inquisitive eyes always seemed to be searching for the next grand adventure, even if it was just in his own imagination. From the moment the sun painted the sky each morning, Foxy would be off, ready to tell tales to anyone who would listen. He would bound over to Bunny, whose twitching nose always paid close attention, or climb the highest branches to whisper secrets to Owl, whose wise eyes would blink slowly in response. Foxy loved the gasp of awe, the wide-eyed wonder, the collective oohs and ahs that followed his stories. He loved being the center of attention, a bearer of extraordinary news. "You will not believe what happened today," Foxy would exclaim, his tail swishing with excitement. "I saw a fish, oh, as big as a badger, leap clean out of the sparkling stream. It had scales that shimmered like 1,000 tiny rainbows." Bunny would gasp, her ears flattening in astonishment, and Owl would hoot softly, impressed. The truth was, Foxy had seen a perfectly normal-sized trout. But what's a little exaggeration among friends, he thought. It made the story so much better, so much more thrilling. These small embellishments grew. Soon, the berries Foxy found were not just sweet, but the sweetest berries ever, guarded by mischievous sprites. The breeze was no longer a gentle rustle, but a phantom wind that whispered ancient secrets of forgotten realms. His friends, captivated by his vibrant imagination, loved listening. They adored Foxy's stories, always eager to hear what incredible thing he would witness next. Foxy felt like the most exciting creature in the entire Whispering Woods. One crisp autumn morning, the forest elders announced a big project, preparing the communal berry patch for winter. Everyone had a task. Badger was to dig, Squirrel to gather, and Foxy was assigned to carry the freshly picked berries to the storage hollow. It was a long, tiring job. Foxy, however, wanted to spend the day exploring the glade. He would heard whispers about a place supposedly blooming with rare, luminous moon-petal flowers. As the sun began to climb higher and his basket remained stubbornly empty, a sneaky idea, much like the one that had tickled Pebbles the panda, sparked in Foxy's mind. He scampered back to the communal clearing, his face a mask of mock distress. "Oh, my friends, a terrible misfortune," he cried, clutching his empty basket. As I was gathering the first basketful, a monstrous, hungry grumble worm with teeth like polished obsidian burst from the ground. It swallowed all the berries whole. I barely escaped with my life. Bunny's eyes grew wide with fear. Owl ruffled his feathers in alarm. Badger, however, paused, his brow furrowed. "A grumble worm?" he rumbled, his voice deep. "I have lived in these woods for decades, Foxy, and I have never heard of such a creature. Are you certain?" Foxy nodded vehemently, his heart pounding. Absolutely, it was enormous. And its grumble. It shook the very earth. His friends, though a little confused, trusted Foxy. He was their friend, after all. They quickly reassigned his task, sending him to collect soft moss instead, a much easier job. Foxy grinned inwardly, relieved. He had avoided the hard work, and his story had worked its magic. But a seed of doubt had been planted. Days turned into weeks, and Foxy's tales grew bolder and more unbelievable. He claimed to have flown on the back of a giant hummingbird, to have conversed with talking trees, and even to have discovered a secret waterfall that poured liquid starlight. His friends, initially enchanted, started to exchange glances. Bunny would tap her paw nervously. Owl would listen with one eye closed. One afternoon, a true marvel occurred. A magnificent, shimmering blue beetle, a species rarely seen in the whispering woods, fluttered into their clearing. It was a breathtaking sight, its wings catching the light like tiny sapphires. Everyone gathered around, awestruck. Foxy, seeing an opportunity, puffed out his chest. "Oh, that is nothing," he declared, waving a paw dismissively. "I saw a whole swarm of these just yesterday, each one twice as big, carrying glowing pebbles. I led them to a secret hollow." This time, Badger sighed. "Foxy," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "We were with you yesterday. We saw no such thing. You spent the entire day playing hide and seek by the old willow." Wave of quiet descended. Foxy's cheeks burned. His friends looked at him, not with awe, but with a mixture of confusion and disappointment. He had been caught, plain and simple. Well," Foxy mumbled, avoiding their gazes. I just wanted to make the story more interesting." "But Foxy," Bunny whispered, her ears drooping, "the truth is interesting enough. And when you tell us things that are not true, it makes us wonder." She trailed off, unable to voice a difficult thought. Foxy felt a pang of shame, similar to what Pebbles had experienced. He saw the hurt in their eyes. "I am sorry," he said, his voice small. "I promise I will not do it again." His friends, being truly kind, accepted his apology. They cared about Foxy. "Just try to be truthful, Foxy," Owl advised softly. "Truth is a sturdy foundation for friendship." Foxy did try. For a few days, but the thrill of being the most exciting, the most talked about, was a powerful lure. The quiet reality felt dull. He longed for the gasps, the admiration. And so the vibes began to creep back in. Little exaggerations, then bigger ones, each designed to make him seem more adventurous, more important. One morning, Foxy burst into the clearing, breathless. "Friends, you must hear. I saw the legendary sky-feathered griffin. It nested on the very highest peak of Mount Cinder, its feathers shining like 1,000 sunsets. It flew right over my head. Follow me, and I will show you its nest." His friends hesitated. Bunny looked at Badger. Owl looked at the sky. They remembered Foxy's last promise. But the idea of seeing a griffin, a creature of legend, was too tempting. Maybe, just maybe, this time it was true. They followed Foxy, their hearts thrumming with a mixture of hope and trepidation, deep into the rocky slopes of Mount Cinder, higher than they had ever climbed. They searched all day, through winding paths and treacherous ledges, until the sun began to dip below the horizon. No griffin, no nest, not even a single shimmering feather. Exhausted and disheartened, they turned to Foxy. His head was down, his tail limp. I just really wanted to see it," he mumbled. "And I thought if I said I did, maybe it would be true." This time, the disappointment was profound. "Foxy," Badger said, his voice heavy, "we wasted an entire day, climbed a dangerous mountain, all because you made up a story. We were worried about you too, thinking you truly saw such a thing." "We cannot trust you, Foxy," Bunny said, her voice trembling. "How do we know if anything you say is real anymore?" One by one, they turned and walked away, their steps slow and heavy, leaving Foxy alone on the cold rocky slope as twilight deepened. The silence was deafening, broken only by the mournful sigh of the wind. Foxy felt a cold ache in his chest, deeper and more painful than any he had ever known. He was truly alone. The next few days were agonizing. Foxy tried to talk to his friends, to share genuine observations, but they either ignored him or listened with an obvious skepticism that stung him to the core. Their laughter, once freely shared, no longer included him. Their games continued without him. He was an outsider in his own forest. Then came the storm. Angry clouds rolled in, swift and menacing. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of impending rain. A elder bear, the oldest and wisest resident of the Whispering Woods, had warned everyone to seek shelter in the strongest hollows. A group of young squirrel kits, playful and oblivious, had wandered too far, chasing a particularly colorful butterfly. A foxy, scouting near the edge of the woods, spotted them, their tiny forms darting perilously close to the great weeping willow, a massive, ancient tree known to shed weakened branches in fierce winds. Large, burry branch was already groaning, ready to snap. "Kits, danger!" Foxy barked, his voice sharp with alarm. "The willow branch, get back!" The kits, startled, looked at him. One of them, Squeaky, just giggled. "Oh, Foxy's telling another one of his tall tales," he squeaked. "Maybe it is a talking branch, Foxy?" "No, this is real," Foxy pleaded, his heart hammering against his ribs. "The branch is going to fall. You have to run." He raced towards them, desperate, but his small frame could not cover the ground fast enough. Just then, Elder Bear emerged from his den, his keen eyes instantly assessing the situation. He saw the teetering branch, the oblivious kits, and Foxy, truly frantic. With a mighty roar, Elder Bear lunged forward, gathering the kits in his massive paws and pulling them back just as the enormous branch crashed down with a deafening crack precisely where they had been playing moments before. The forest fell silent, then erupted in gasps. The kits, shaken but safe, huddled close to Elder Bear. Foxy stood frozen, trembling. His warning had been real, critical, and yet no one had believed him. He sank to the ground, tears welling in his eyes. Later, after the storm had passed and the kits were safely reunited with their parents, Elder Bear called Foxy and his friends together. "Foxy," he rumbled, his voice gentle but firm. "Your warning was true and it saved lives. Yet no one believed you. Do you understand why?" Foxy nodded, tears tracing paths down his fur. "Because I lied," he whispered, his voice choked with regret. So many times had I thought I was lying again, even when it was important. "Exactly," Elder Bear said. "Truth is like a crystal-clear stream, Foxy. It flows freely, bringing life and nourishment. Lies are like mud stirred into that stream. They cloud the water, making it murky and undrinkable. Once the water is muddied, it takes a long, long time for it to clear again, for trust to be restored." He turned to Bunny, Owl, and Badger. "And you, my friends, must also understand the consequence of Foxy's actions. It is natural to doubt someone who has often misled you, but Foxy feels true remorse. He has seen firsthand the danger his dishonesty can cause, not just to himself, but to others. This is the hardest lesson to learn." Foxy looked at his friends, his eyes pleading. "I truly am sorry," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I never understood how much my stories hurt you, how much they broke our trust. I promise I will never tell another fib again. I want to be the friend you can always believe." His friends looked at each other. They saw the genuine regret in Foxy's eyes, the profound change in his demeanor, and they remembered the Foxy who had once filled their days with laughter and adventure, even without the grand exaggerations. "It will be hard, Foxy," Bunny said softly, "to trust you completely right away, but we will try. We hope you will too." And so, Foxy began the long, difficult journey of rebuilding trust. He started small. When asked about his day, he described only what he truly saw: a plump airy, a chirping bird, a sleepy squirrel. No embellishments, no fantastical creatures. When he wanted to tell a grand story, he would preface it, "I had a wonderful dream last night," or "I am going to imagine something amazing now." It took time, many weeks, many months, but slowly, painstakingly, the mud in the stream of their friendship began to settle. His friends saw his consistent honesty, his efforts to be dependable. They learned to trust his words again, not because they were always exciting, but because they were always true. Foxy learned that his vivid imagination was a gift, not a tool for deceit. He started drawing pictures of his fantastical creatures and writing down his amazing dreams, sharing them as creations of his mind, not as fabricated facts. And his friends, seeing his artistic spirit and newfound honesty, admired him even more. From that day forward, Foxy learned that the greatest stories are those built on truth, and the most precious gift friend can give is unwavering trust. And he kept his promise, becoming a true and honest friend to all in the Whispering Woods. The end.